Unit 10. Body and Mind. Tape script 10.1. How well do you know your body? 1.
Every day, the average person loses between 50 and 100 hairs, but you would have to lose over 50% of the hairs on your head before anyone would notice. Blondes have more hair, about 140,000 hairs on their head. Brunettes average about 110,000, people with black hair about 108,000, and redheads come in last with about 80,000 average hairs on their head.
2.
The average adult heart is about the size of 2 fists. The main artery from the heart, the aorta, is about the diameter of a garden hose. The human heart creates enough pressure to squirt blood up to a distance of 30 feet.
3.
Nerve impulses to and from the brain travel as fast as 250 miles per hour. The fastest messages are to the brain's pain receptors, telling you that that metal is hot. It's a common myth that we use only a small part of our brain. It may be as little as 10% when resting, but during the course of a typical day, we use 100% of our brain.
4.
Babies are born with 50% more bones than adults have. Many of these bones then fuse together, making larger bone structures that would have made it impossible for the baby to be born. As adults, we are about 1 centimetre taller in the morning than in the evening, when our joints have settled and become thinner.
5.
Fingernails grow roughly twice as fast as toenails, and both now grow 25% more than they did 70 years ago as a result of our protein-rich diet. The fastest growing nail is on the middle finger. The longer the finger, the faster the nail grows.
6.
Most people blink around 15 times a minute, but that reduces by a half when staring at a computer screen, which is why long-term computer users often suffer from dry eye syndrome. It increases when lying. Babies blink only twice a minute.
7.
Children have 3 times as many taste buds as adults, which is why they often find bitter vegetables inedible and why older people enjoy them more. The number of taste buds varies widely between people, with some people having 4 or 5 times as many as others. By the age of 60, most people will have lost about a half of their taste buds.
8.
According to a study by the Mayo Clinic in the US, the 3 most common reasons for visits to the doctor are skin complaints, joint problems, for example arthritis, and back problems. Another common complaint is referred to by doctors as TAT, T-A-T-T, tired all the time.
Tape script 10.2. 1.
A leading private surgeon is reported to be under investigation for fraud.
2.
Dr. Martin Crispin is believed to own 3 private clinics in London.
3.
Dr. Crispin and his colleagues are said to charge up to £1,000 for a consultation.
4.
Dr. Crispin was supposed to have qualified in South Africa.
5.
He is now known never to have trained as a surgeon.
6.
His medical certificates are now assumed to be fakes.
7.
He was considered to be a specialist in cosmetic surgery.
8.
Dr. Crispin is understood to have been sued recently by 5 different patients.
9.
2 of his colleagues are alleged to have performed surgery while drunk.
10.
The doctor and his wife are presumed to have gone into hiding this morning.
Tape script 10.3. Down to earth with a bump. Part 1.
So you took off okay. What went wrong?
Yeah, I took off fine, and I was doing very well in the race. I was going along with a bunch of others, and it was getting progressively windier. We were jumping from mountain range to mountain range, and I split up with the people I was flying with, and I got stuck in a little windy valley, and I got lower and lower. And really, where the wind mixes with the mountainscape, you get a lot of turbulence. And I was just at the wrong height. We carry a reserve with us, and normally you can throw your reserve if the wing collapses.
So that would be a parachute, effectively.
A parachute, yeah, and you can come down under that. Or normally the wing will reopen itself anyway, but I was at the height where the reserve wouldn't open, and it was still high enough to hurt when I hit the ground.
So how far did you fall, do you think?
Probably about 60 feet, I think.
Oh, my goodness. And what was the impact like? What do you remember of it?
I remember bouncing quite a lot, and I rolled over a few times, then came to rest underneath a few bushes, but generally I was pretty well bashed up. I'd broken all the ribs on my left, my pelvis in about 5 places, and my left arm completely snapped off the humerus, the ball joint on my.
Oh my goodness, you must have been in terrible pain, weren't you?
So I was in a lot of pain, and I was a bit shocked, really.
You were wearing sunglasses, weren't you, as well, at the time?
Yeah, my sunglasses, my nice new sunglasses, dug into my nose, and so my face was bleeding quite a lot. And so, yeah, generally bashed up.
So when you kind of came to a standstill, what was going through your mind?
Well, I just looked around and checked that I was still alive. I checked all my limbs and thought, well, basically I'm bashed, but I'm not, I'm still here. I had a strange thing where my eyesight started to degrade. I'd been looking around the clouds and the mountains just to see if anybody had seen me crash, and there was nobody. And then after a while, all I could see was maybe 100 yards into the grass, and then that came right down to just the twigs around me.
And why was that happening?
And it was shock. And I had this weird voice saying, "Oh, Guy, this is a classic sign of shock. You need oxygen now." And I said out loud, "Oh, that's lucky. I've got some oxygen with me." So I reached into my pack. We fly very, very high in Idaho, so you do need oxygen from time to time. Reached into my pack, found my oxygen tube, turned it on full blast and snorted some of that, and 10 minutes later I was up. It was like a computer rebooting, and all my vision came back. And
how did you know that?
I didn't know it. It must have gone at some point. Yeah, and I'd remembered it.
That's tremendous. That's
very,
quite
very
amazing. And did you have any way of calling for help? Did you have a radio? Did you have a mobile telephone?
I punctured a lung as well, so I did yell help, but it didn't come out very loud.
Tape script 10.4. Part 2.
I had a mobile phone, but there was no signal. I had a radio, but that obviously malfunctioned when I hit the ground. And I had what I did need was a satellite tracker. The organisers of the competition had given us trackers, but they worked off the mobile phone signal, and that didn't work either. So I was completely stuck.
You're completely isolated in the middle of nowhere, no means of communication. Did you panic?
No, I just lay there. I made myself as comfortable as I could in my harness and thought, well, if I get rescued before dark, I might get away with my wife and kids not finding out about what predicament I was in.
But you didn't get rescued before dark, did you? You had to spend the night there. What was that night like?
Well, that was I was sort of quite comfortable.
It was the first night, in fact, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first night.
Yeah.
So I crashed at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the first night, it was fine. I was reasonably comfortable, and I just thought I was starting to nod off to have a snooze. And then I heard this awful growling noise.
Right. What did you think that was?
I didn't know what it was. I looked up behind me. I could just crane my neck round and saw up on the side of the hill a huge, great big bear. So that really concentrated the mind for a while. So I tried to make where I was look to the bear like it was a little hunting camp. So I took pictures with the flash on my mobile phone,
What, trying to frighten it with the light?
Yeah, and I sang She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain When She Comes.
Because you thought the noise would frighten the bear off?
Yeah, well, I just hoped that they would think that there were maybe more than one person there.
And is that what happened? Did the bear go away and leave you?
It didn't like that. Also, my canopy was fluffing around in the wind, so it didn't like that either, so it didn't come any closer. I heard it later in the night crashing about in the trees below me, but...
I bet you didn't get much sleep.
No, I was sort of a bit fitful.
Tape script 10.5. Part 3.
Then the next day you decided to get moving, didn't you?
Yeah, I decided that you can't last that long without water. I had a few litres of water, and it looked like there was a nice river at the bottom of the valley. So I thought at least if I could get next to the water, I'd be fine. And
how did you move, though? You broke your pelvis.
Well, I pushed with my good arm and pulled with my legs, and I managed to make my way through the grass, and it was quite painful. But
quite painful. It's setting my teeth on edge just thinking about that.
But I got all the way down to the bottom of the valley, and it was completely dry. So I knew I had to start walking somehow. So I reached out a hand, and there was this amazing stick. So it took me a couple of hours, very painful hours, to get to my feet.
2 hours to get to your feet.
Yeah. But with the stick, I was able to make very slow progress. I move the stick, swing one leg, swing the other one, and on I go. And so I made about a mile that day. And in the evening, the weather started to break down, and it's a very desert area. I mean, it hardly ever rains there, but that evening there was a huge thunderstorm. So I just lay on the ground and got completely drenched with this thunder and lightning going on all night. And
what was the first clue that you might be going to be rescued?
The first clue was the next day I heard a helicopter coming into my valley at about 3 in the afternoon, and it came into my valley and then flew straight out the other side. So I just thought, well, they've missed me, and that's the end of that. But in fact, there was a friend of mine, Russell Ogden, a very old paragliding. He's a bit of a legend in the paragliding world, and he had seen me out of the corner of his eye. He's got terrible eyesight, but he's still seen me. And he yelled at the helicopter pilot to go around. They went round and landed, and I didn't hear that because there was a bend in the valley, and they'd landed, seen my canopy, and landed by it. Russ jumped out of the helicopter, nearly broke an ankle, and then raced down. They saw my track and raced down the valley, trying to find me.
And what did you find out later about the nature of the search operation that had been launched? Because I mentioned earlier, it was quite an extensive operation.
Huge operation going on. I had no idea, but there were probably 100 people up in the mountains, all out on mountain bikes, and there were light planes up. There were just people on their days off who'd heard about it and were out looking. And it was when eventually I got found. The helicopter eventually came down the valley and did find me. And when it went out on the radio, there were hoops of joy amongst the people looking. So it was a great big moment.
And what about your family? You said you'd hoped that they might not find out. Presumably they'd have been told, and they'd be very worried.
They had a horrible 24 hours at home, all waiting. But they were very stoic and quite brilliant, and we're a very close family. And it was very difficult for them, I know.
And I gather that after the rescue, you updated your Facebook profile with the words "Guy Anderson is world champion hide and seek winner."
Yes.
Which shows a certain sense of humour.
A few people thought I actually was.
How long did it take you to recover from your injuries?
Where I'd crashed, I'd actually just got enough points to get me into the big race of the year, which is the World Cup Super Final. So I had between August when I crashed and January when the Super Final was to get better enough to compete in the big race of the year. So just under 6 months.
And you had no doubt at all about going back?
I had plenty of doubts, and it's really the worst thing is for my family. I know that I put them through hell, but it's a horrible addiction that I have to flying. But it does put you in places that you can only dream of, and I can't stop it.
Guy, it's an amazing story. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Tape script 10.6. A.
It was quite brilliant.
B.
It was quite good.
C.
It was
quite good.
Tape script 10.7. 1.
That lesson wasn't as dull as I expected.
Yes, it was quite interesting.
2.
Emma's not an easy child to deal with, is she?
Oh, she can be quite impossible sometimes.
3.
I noticed that Bob wasn't exactly thrilled with his birthday present.
He seemed quite pleased.
4.
They charge £1.30 for a small bottle of water. Don't you think that's silly?
It's quite ridiculous.
5.
It's a lovely day for February, isn't it?
Yes, it's quite warm.
6.
So I hear the exam wasn't as much of a challenge as you expected.
Well, it was quite difficult.
7.
So, you decided to rent the room. You didn't find it too small?
No, I thought it was quite big.
8.
It's not like any other cafe, this one, is it?
No, it really is quite unique.
Tape script 10.8. 1.
Come on, don't let it all get you down. Keep your chin up.
2.
I tried to persuade Pete, but he dug his heels in and refused to change his mind.
3.
I find it hard to stomach when politicians half my age start preaching to me.
4.
It varies, but as a rule of thumb, I'd allow 20 minutes a mile on this walk.
5.
The teachers in my school were pretty strict. They made us toe the line.
6.
How dare he expect me to tidy up after him? What a cheek!
7.
I'm ashamed about it all, but I'm glad I've told you. I needed to get it off my chest.
8.
The boys stood on one side of the room, eyeing up the girls on the other side.
9.
The government talks as if they're concerned about the environment, but they're just paying lip service.
10.
These candlesticks aren't easy to clean. You'll need a bit of elbow grease.
Tape script 10.9. 1.
Oh, lovely cat.
2.
Oh, how lovely to see you again.
Ooh.
3.
Psst! Look over in the corner at what that man's wearing.
4.
Oh, sorry, I really couldn't eat that.
5.
These tablets are huge.
6.
Yes, definitely.
7.
How dare you!
8.
It's cinnamon, I think. Or maybe cloves.
9.
Move over!
10.
Oh, terrific! Well played!
11. 12.
Could you step this way, sir? And hold out your arms.
Tape script 10.10.
But you didn't get rescued before dark, did you? You must have been in terrible pain, weren't you? You decided to get moving, didn't you?
Tape script 10.11. 1.
You've made a mess of this, Prime Minister, haven't you?
2.
So, you left your homework on the bus, did you?
3.
Try some of my bread. That's a damn fine loaf, that is.
Tape script 10.12. 1.
You will be careful, won't you?
Of course I will. It's not a very difficult climb. It's only 3,000 metres.
2.
So, you were out with Lisa last night, were you?
What if I was? And I'm certainly not going to tell you what happened.
3.
You meant to kill the victim, Mr. Jones, didn't you?
I absolutely did not. It was a horrible accident.
4.
I've been a bit stupid, haven't I?
You haven't. It's so easy to be taken in by internet scams.
5.
You're lazy, you are.
Am I? Says who? Mister, isn't it time for another coffee break?
6.
So, these are the spacious bedrooms, are they?
Indeed they are, though the other estate agent did describe them as compact.
7.
That can't be right, can it?
It is. We did have starters, and we've had quite a lot to drink.
8.
I always do a good job, I do.
Do you? Well, I think Mr. Johnson will have the final say on that.
9.
Oh, yeah. Camping will really appeal to Joe, won't it?
Well, it will have to. We can't afford to stay in a hotel this year.
10.
So that's all the help I'm getting, is it?
It is, I'm afraid. I've painted 3 walls. I'll really have to pick up the kids from school now.
11.
It won't hurt, will it?
Not much. It's a very small needle.
12.
I went and beat him, didn't I?
Did you? Wow! Well done. Those tennis lessons were obviously worth it.
13.
That's a proper cup of coffee, that is.
It sure is. I grind the beans myself.
14.
Let's eat, shall we?
Yes, I'm starving.
Tape script 10.13. 1.
You haven't seen my car keys, have you?
No, you had them this morning.
That doesn't mean I know where they are now, though, does it?
Well, let's look in the places you usually leave them, shall we?
I've already done that.
And here they are. Now, that wasn't hard, was it?
Oh, thanks. You're a star, you are.
2.
You've forgotten the shopping list, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
But I gave it to you as we were leaving, didn't I?
Yeah, but I've left it on the kitchen table.
Oh, you're so forgetful, you are.
Oh, and you're perfect, are you?